Hello, welcome back to another episode of CPaaSAA Talks. I'm Rob Kurver of the CPaaS Acceleration Alliance, and I'm here today with Jon Brinton and Jorgen Bjorkner, and we're talking about innovation and the things that we're seeing in the space of enterprise communications. And I'm really excited because Jon and Jorgen go back a little bit to the days of Mitel. I'm not going to accuse you guys of being old, but definitely you have been in the industry for a while. So I wanted to start with a simple question. If you look back at the last, I don't know, maybe 10 or 20 years in the space, what do you think is the biggest change that's happening right now, and how does that relate to the old days? Jon, let me start with you.
Yeah, thanks, Rob, and thanks for having me today. And I appreciate you excluding the word way back from how far back Jurgen and I go. But we've been in the industry a while, former colleagues, and obviously now at two different companies, kind of serving slightly different markets. But I would, one of the things that I would say that I've just, been excited about seeing the growth is, and you mentioned I'm from Crescendo. I'm sitting in front of our Net Sapiens banner because the Net Sapiens part of our business is the platform that we license to service providers. And what I've seen that's really exciting in the context of kind of a CPaaS Acceleration Alliance type of discussion is the way we license our platform to about 235 providers, rich set of APIs, and really see the way that they've taken and really begun to personalize communications experiences for specific customers, verticals, go-to-market strategies, kind of built around leveraging those APIs and building CPaaS type applications. So that's very exciting for us. We kind of see our platform as like the operating system, and then we built an ecosystem around it of other companies that our partners can plug in, or they take and build applications on their own. So the way that even in a market that's really grown to where we've seen largely the transition, much of the transition from premise to cloud communications, and seen some very large kind of global providers grow up out of that, the way that entrepreneurial companies can still have great success by leveraging APIs, listening to customers, and building things for customers that really add unique value for them. So that's part of what I've really seen evolve more over the last 12 to 24 months, because we did release an update to our APIs and took a slightly different strategy with that a couple of years ago. And the fruit of that is seeing some of the exciting thing our partners are doing with that.
Thanks, Jon. And Jurgen, for you, what's the biggest change or the thing that stands out today in 2025 compared to a couple of years ago?
I mean, if you look back and see evolution of the communications industry, in the early days, it was a lot of telco focused. It was built around complexity in terms of high barriers of entry, how to enter the market as a new vendor or new suppliers. So it was those monopoly situations almost between suppliers and the operators. Then something called IP came up, where it was easier to build communication using standard commodity hardware, open internet protocols like SIP, etc. So with that, you got a bunch of new entrants into the market. And for some time, people believed in unified communication. This will be simplified. You have only one single phone for all your services. But in reality, it's taken a total opposite path, because communication been so much easier to integrate. So you have more or less one phone or one application per kind of workflow. You have the WhatsApps, you have Google, you have Office 365. Everything has communication enabled and built in. So I think that is one of the bigger shifts, is that instead of having this closed garden where telco is complex, actually it's democratized also in the telco side, like you have in all the other cloud services. It's quite easy to build in communication into your own context. So back in the days, also Gartner spoke a lot about communication-enabled processes. I think actually that's starting to happen now, eventually, 15 years later, when it was they were out talking about that. So, and that's where we are there to help as well, trying to hide all that telco complexity, because it is still complex, but make it friendly, and as a CPaaS service, make it easy to integrate this into these different workflows. It could be a healthcare workflow, it could be a contact center application where you have massive bursts of traffic for a short peak of time and things like that. So
Yeah, I love how you combine the openness of the, let's say, APIs, and it used to start with SIP, right? Back in the day,
yep.
SIP was sort of the first open protocol for IP voice, which was quite a bit of a change in the telco industry. So it's a natural journey, and I love how you mention communication enabled business processes, because I remember having that in slides and presentations years ago in the evangelization phase, and I think we are living it. So when you look at that, and I mean, Jon, you mentioned that Sapiens, your open platform. And I know, Jorgen, you have an open platform in a way that's really focused on certain markets like healthcare, right? So how do you pick, if you have those capabilities in your platform, then how do you pick, let's say, the innovations that you go after, or the partners that help you with certain innovations? How does that process work?
Yeah, so we've developed at Crescendo for the NetSapiens platform. We've developed an ecosystem program, Rob, where it's twofold. One is because we are an operating system, in that ecosystem program, we kind of vet partners from specific use cases and different add-ons to our solution that could help our partners overall, so that we'll take a company, and we're not talking about it as much in this podcast yet, but there's a popular topic now where the initials are both vowels, that a lot of people are doing development around I'll say AI and other capabilities, but within whatever the use case is, we will take those companies through a validation in an ecosystem program, and then kind of endorse or present those to our partners, that if you're interested in this type of solution, here's a vendor that we've qualified for the community to work with. The benefit to the companies that go through that is we have 235 partners with 6 million users globally, and our platform's growing at about more than double the rate of the market now globally. So the ecosystem partner gets the benefit of having access to that community. So that's one way. The second way is because we are fully, our program or our platform is built for partners to take their own kind of unique DNA in their business and apply it to communications capabilities that we help them deliver. A lot of times they will identify, because they're serving a vertical, or they've got a use case or an application that they want to develop. We power some, business applications that are not even communications focused, but for the communications components, they leverage the NetSapiens platform. So the partners will identify the companies to work with, or they will build those type of solutions for the customers themselves, leveraging our API. So we kind of have a two-pronged approach to that, which is us in the ecosystem program, and then our partner community going out. And I will tell you, one of the things I love most about my job is I get to visit with our partners out in their place of business in the real world, and some of them will often show me the things that they've kind of developed on top of the platform as CPaaS type applications, and some of their creativity just blows my mind, because they're hyper focused on a specific market, a specific opportunity. They're experts in it, and then they develop these additional capabilities that we would probably never dream of, but for the market they serve, they're really tapped into it, and they do amazing things leveraging our technology.
Yeah, that's cool. I like the platform approach there, but I think you have a different take on it, right? Or a different approach. You're a smaller company also, so you don't have that platform in that same sense, but you go after very specific solutions and very specific verticals.
I mean, it is a platform that is horizontal, but then, of course, as a smaller company, you need to make a bet and do some focus initially. So one of our bets has been within the healthcare vertical, and what differentiates us from maybe the more traditional CPaaS players is that we also have an extensive suite of alarm management protocols. So in social care applications, when you press a fall or an emergency button or a fall detector is triggered, it's sending an event. And it's not a single standard for those. So there are variants to send those old analog protocols to modern IP-based protocols, but they're different in different markets and depending when it was developed. So that's been a niche we added. But then those typically come hand in hand with a voice or a video communications. It starts with an alarm and then it moves in. But then what we also have is a lot of building blocks for contact center with the media server capabilities, call recording, where we still do it, but we also know that a lot of our customers utilizing that is mission critical. So I mean, it's massive volumes. If the services go down, it will be an impact in the newspapers in the evening for sure. So we have had the opportunity to build a platform fairly recently, so it's built modern. So our time to innovation is very short in terms that we can essentially build a feature today and have it in production in the afternoon, because it has a modern continuous integration chain with full automated tests, something that was very hard to accomplish 20 years ago or 10 years ago. So we have that advantage. So in that way, we work with the partners. Typically, we work with some lead customers for new development. We're in close collaboration where we get the feedback, we innovate together, and they get continuous access to what we do in the stage environment, and then that is fed into the production environment continuously. So whatever we build is being deployed as a platform for common use by anyone, but it's sort of been part of a collaborative process with the target customer.
I think what you mentioned is interesting because on the one hand, communications are now through APIs and CPaaS, they're available, but at the same time, as you mentioned, some of these verticals, some of these domains, communication is really critical. And there may be regulatory requirements, or there may be in healthcare is a great example where there's all sorts of regulatory and complicated business models and ecosystems where the help or the support from a vendor like you needs to go a bit further than just providing APIs and SDKs, right? Because it is pretty complicated to get it right, and it's not a market where you can fail too much because it's so critical.
Yeah, so that's where we've been successful in these larger projects. We've been part of the development process together with the partner, and they don't come from the telco background, so we can add that to the project. We've been doing this for such a long time, so we know what to avoid and what to do in a proper way. Instead of, let's say, take healthcare, if they were to add communications into their products, they will do the same mistakes as I and Jon did 20 years ago when we started working with VoIP. So we save that time, but we also provide access to a robust platform, giving all these capabilities as a service instead of have to take the operations dimension. And I think that is also the nice thing working like this, is that the feedback loop from you build to deploy and actually see it live is so quick. So in case you do something that should be fixed, we know it within an hour and can have it fixed an hour later if that is required, versus the old model where you deployed something on-prem, some ops team installed it. It could take 6 months until you get to know there is an issue in it. And then it takes 6 more months until you actually get the new version deployed. So that's the exciting part of working in a modern true DevOps environment.
Yeah, Rob, I was just going to add to that too. One of the things that we did about a year and a half ago, and after we launched the partnership with you folks, is we added also a developer advocate role within our organization. So when you talked about, learning to do this and building the capabilities to do it, part of that, with our partners, many of them are not classic development houses and things like that. So that's a role that we have to kind of help people along as our service provider partners start to look at these unique use cases and build applications for them. So you need, Jorgen has obviously their governance and the way that they handle it as an organization. That's part of how we manage that to make sure it's, consumable for a broader partner community.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, Jon, you mentioned AI a few minutes ago, right? You were the first to mention it, and thank you for that,
I
because
get
it's
I lose some points on that one. I know.
no, inevitable, right? Because also when I hear you, Jurgen, when I hear you talk about the change in development speed, right, with DevOps, etc. So the way I look at AI in our industry, that's next level, because AI is going to be able very soon, or already, or in the next year, is going to be able to take care of some of the complexities of programming against APIs and CPaaS, right? Because that's always been sort of the thing. You need to really learn how to use them. Well, guess what? Now there's AI. That's pretty good at learning, at reading the documentation and then building stuff. So I think that that build, deploy, test, feedback loop is getting even shorter this year and next year. And so how is that going to change your, let's say, innovation practice, and how you bring new products to life with and for your partners and customers?
I mean, we're running a few projects already today with some of the contact center customers we got, but we also got customers in the healthcare that would want to use AI to, for example, instead of filling out the form manually when you're on a call, they can actually do that automatically based on the conversation. So what we built is what we call our AI Connect function, which is interfacing the telco world with all that complexity, but gives a unified stream into an AI platform for speech analytics. So even if we don't do the AI directly ourselves, we enable others to innovate with voice and AI, hiding the complexity to interface, because these are the two different worlds and two different developer skills as well. So we are like a middleware in between, making the pieces fit together. So that's one example how it sort of in practice generate new services and traffic through the platform. But then, of course, we're using AI day to day in our development as well. And it is a tool. It's just like the calculator came back in the 70s. It saves a lot of time, and it helps improving in many areas. And we're using, for example, adding an AI-based search and knowledge base on our dev portal now to make it easier for developers to find the information and understand how the platform is working.
Yeah. Okay, I see. Jon, and in your ecosystem, I imagine you work with AI specialist partners that adding stuff on top of your platform.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you kind of look at it, we talked about this probably sounding with like we had a little bit more voice centricity in the conversation so far. But when you took one of the trends that we didn't talk about up front, Rob, is the communications channels obviously going to other types of media. So whether it would be, an SMS, video collaboration, web chat, or some other preferred method, younger consumers have different preferred methods of communicating. And so within our ecosystem, we are building into AI partners that can really leverage some valuable tools for our partners to be able to offer to their end customers, all the way through different types of meetings and media. They can leverage our APIs in order to build applications. I mean, one of our partners recently, I was visiting with them, they built a whole AI front end to customer interaction and care. And then, they support a lot of field service companies. So workers that are out there with customers at their home or a job site doing specific work for them. And they're building the ability for somebody who's calling with a problem to be able to have an SMS to a video link, then to show them the problem, to be able to show it on their smartphone, because obviously all communications now have to have that smartphone centricity about them, or they're just not relevant to today's world. So we're working with a lot of partners to build in the AI capabilities, no matter how customers choose to communicate over whatever channel. And then we've also recently started working on initiatives around a newer topic or newer standard in our industry called VCons, which is just the ability to take all of those different types of communications that you have with customers, put them into a permanent record and make it something that's accessible and searchable and usable in the future. So if somebody is contacting a business for the third time with a similar problem, agents or the people supporting them can have context to the prior interactions they've had with that customer, so they don't go back to the IT crowd version of, have you tried turning it off and turning it back on again, to help them resolve a problem, right? So not only enabling upfront communications or initial communications leveraging AI, but then how do you take those same tools to be able to give context to the customer relationship that you've had with that individual organization? And so a couple of our partners have already developed solutions. Our licensees, we call them, are people that use the NetSapiens platform, have developed solutions around that, and that's something we're looking to leverage and bring to our whole community. So it does give a full wrapper around the idea of leveraging AI when it's the right context, and not for everything, but for the right things, and then being able to use it to provide a better long-term customer experience. So, it's a buzzword, and obviously a lot of people are throwing a lot of money at it. For us, with that ecosystem approach, we can identify vendors who truly have developed unique and leading solutions that fit well for our vertical, our service provider partners, and plug them into what we're doing. So we're not spending massive amounts of money to build another LLM. We're leveraging the investments that other people are making.
Yeah, and it sounds both of you are really focusing on customer problems and solving specific needs, rather than trying to build the best possible platform, as was the thing 10 years ago, right? When everybody's competing on that side. So this is a much more, well, I think the evolution that we saw coming is really happening. It's really great to hear from both of you how it's working in practice already today for customers and with your partners. And final question, because we're going to the end of this podcast. If you look at the next 6 or 12 months, we're now sort of almost at halfway the year in 25. What does success look like for you, let's say by the end of the year? Jorgen, you want to go first? What's the thing that you're looking forward to for this year, and it's going to make you a happy camper over Christmas?
I mean, we of course want to continue to grow the traffic through the platform. It's keep on growing continuously, but I think these AI Connect functionalities we've been speaking about is going to get more widely deployed, and we're also seeing that we have a lot of quite exciting new partners coming to use our APIs, also in the contact center side and also the call recording side. So the combination of traditional recording with the AI and analytics is something that we actually see happening now.
Cool.
Yeah. So,
and Jon, for you, what makes you a happy camper over Christmas?
Yeah, sorry. So I talked over you on the question, but I knew where you were going. So I would say one of the trends we haven't talked about so far is kind of the inside baseball, as we would say in the US. I'll let you guys look that up. Is that there are a couple of legacy platforms in our industry that several years ago were sold to a couple of the tech titans. They've been underinvested in for a number of years. There's a lot of change there. And because we are really focused on that forward-looking roadmap and giving choice to our partners at NetSapiens, we benefited with several of those partners now migrating to deploying their solutions on our platform. They're the people that were customers of the couple other platforms. So we're excited about bringing more of those into the fold, so to speak. And the second thing that I look, you say in the next 6 months, you look at the fall, is a couple of things that I always get really excited about personally. Is I know in September you have your CPaaSAA event there in Amsterdam, and kind of bring a global venue of service providers and people that are looking to build customer-focused solutions in our industry together. And I'm looking forward to that event. And then in October, for our NetSapiens partners, we have our annual user group meeting. And that to me is just the highlight of my events for the year, because it is getting our community together, looking at how different people go to market with our platform that's completely brandable to them. So we're more the NVIDIA inside of their solution, or the operating system, like I said. And so to see how get them together, let them collaborate. And one of the greatest things that I get a pleasure out of there is we have an annual Code Fest, which you guys, the CPaaS Acceleration Alliance, has sponsored for the last couple of years, where our partners will actually present solutions that they built leveraging our APIs and CPaaS type solutions. So that's part of that event that's coming up. So those are two highlights for me before we get to the end of the year that I'm really looking forward to, because I love the collaboration and creativity in our community. And when I'm able to see that in action, it's really interesting to me.
Sounds good. Yeah, looking forward to those same events as well. I can't believe it's already 5 months from now that we have CPaaSAA 25 in Amsterdam, and we'll definitely need to do another session, Jon, to address that other topic that you mentioned just now, which is, let's say, the service provider voice replacement needs and opportunity that exists in the market because of the recent, the Metaswitch Alianza deal and the Cisco BroadSoft deal a little bit longer ago. And I think that's also a very interesting space where a couple of players like that Sapiens and a few others are also making some really interesting propositions for the service providers, the telcos, that have very specific needs for their customers. So we should do a session about that in the next couple of months leading up to CPaaSAA 25 as well, because that will also be a topic there. And for now, I'd like to thank both spending time with me here. I hope you enjoy the rest of the months until we get to these amazing events, and look forward to that other session soon, Jon. Thanks.
Great seeing you both.
Bye now. Bye-bye.